these not the whitest whites you've ever seen? I should know. I've been rumored to have the whitest whites in San Juan Capistrano. There's nothing to it really. Something is dirty, and you want it to be clean, you gotta put the effort, the ganas, into getting it clean. Laundry, sábanas, that's part of my everyday life, my favorite part of the day, actually. I get to come outside, sentir el sol en mi piel, recordarme de mi familia, remember my family. I get to sit on my mother's chair and remember how she would lace my boots, how my dad would share about the many, many stories before him, about he petitioned this land in Mexico, from Mexico in 1844. This is the last things I have that connect me to my family. And so, of course, one day when I arrive at home and I notice that there's a paved out area, my clotheslines were down, my sábanas were dirty, I had to connect. I asked my vecinos, ¿qué está pasando? And they said, haven't you heard? No, I said. There's a famous Mr. Richard Egan from the Santa Fe Railroad Company that's coming after your land. My land, I said. No one's called me, no one's given me a letter, no one's paid for my land. Están locos, I said. And so I put my landlines, my clotheslines back up, my sábanas back up, and I went on with my normal day. Well, guess who showed up? Mr. Richard Egan at my door. My neighbors were yelling, Modesta! Hay un gringo en tu puerta! So I ran over. Me arreglé. I opened the door and there he was. A very fine, well-dressed man in awesome linen. Before I could even introduce myself, he told me, you have to take the landlines down. You have to take your sábanas down. I couldn't even introduce myself, ask him if he wanted some agua to drink. And so, before I could even mention a word, he left. And just like he said, construction started, the tracks came up, the train came through, and at the sign of every time that train would go by, I knew I was never going to hear from this Richard Egan. And so one day I got so upset, me dieron unas ganas, that I grabbed my mother's chair, I put it on the train tracks, I put a note, and I said, pay me, Modesta Avila, $10,000 for my land, $10,000 for my land. I was going to send him a message. I was going to be heard. But what did Mr. Richard Egan do? He showed up later with a sheriff. A sheriff? What threat did I pose to him? I was single. I had nobody in my house. He showed up and let me know that I had crossed a line. I was arrested June 5th for writing a note on a train track on my property. Shortly after, I went to trial, and my attorney would say, Modesta, you're fine. But I wasn't fine. I was going up against developers, the Santa Fe Railroad Company, and a brand new county, Orange County, that had a reputation to build. And I was going to be the message to all the Mexicanos. They didn't see me as a woman. They didn't see me as a person who took care of her land. They saw me as an ignorant, poor person. That trial was a hung jury. I was released, but the chismes began. The rumors began. I was told I ran an unorderly house, that I might have been pregnant and not married, that I like to travel to beautiful Santana, unchaperoned. Now, normally I don't mind chismes. I'm an Avila. I can handle it. Then I went to a second trial. And my attorney, Modesta, you're fine, he would tell me. You're fine. This jury is composed of very fine people. Very fine people? Well, what's that? Did they know me? Did they know my father? Did they know this was my land? He should have just said 12 white men. So before that trial even began, I knew it was over. I knew Modesta was going to be hung out to dry. I'm not an average 20-year-old woman. I was the first person tried and convicted in Orange County. I was sentenced to 3 years. 3 years of my life. Was I a criminal? For obstructing tracks on my land? I don't know. Didn't they obstruct my life? My land, everything that I had left? Who's the real criminal? No one was hurt, no property was damaged, yet I had to pay the price. There's days I wish that my dad could come back and I could share the stories with him. I wish that he could have changed things, that maybe I could have represented myself as an Avila. But that's not the case. I just know that sometimes, it reminds me actually of something my mother used to say. She said, Modesta, sometimes even the whitest whites, no matter how hard you try, mija, they can never be white again.